Okay. Yeah.
I do too. I do too. All right, ready when you are. All right, we're ready.
That's That's the run from the high school.
All right. I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting of the Madison Public Schools Board of Education to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Seth is traveling, so I'm in his stead this evening. We do not have any members of the public, so we'll skip over our next item of school community session, straight to the superintendent's report.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Rosenthal, and welcome everybody. It's great to get to this point of the year. And our administrators are here tonight. Thank you for joining us. It was a great kickoff to the public budget season. I will say this process starts really after the previous budget is approved. We start working on that at Stacey Novitz, Heather Dobson's level, and talking about ways that we can provide savings to our budget that don't impact students, but that allow us to do so. Maybe new and unique things for students as we move forward. As I mentioned, this is the start of our public process. We will be available answering questions to the public, to board members, right up until our vote on April 28th, which is the tentative time frame for that. It is not officially set yet, but the time frame is Tuesday, April 28th is the pending vote. So as we just kind of highlight what the presentation will include tonight, you'll see major categories. Nothing new here. These are usually the drivers that we share with you and what has occurred over the past year to lead these drivers and how they impact our budget in many different ways. I always like to start off, and it's a very easy job for us to put this together because we have so much to really brag about in Madison Public Schools. And I'll make this statement up front, and I don't make this lightly. I believe we are the best value in education in Connecticut, and I say that because we have been moved by some agencies that rank districts to Dirk A. We have not been officially moved to Dirk A. I say that again to everyone that might be listening. We have not been officially moved to Dirk A, but when we are looked at by some agencies, we are put into Dirk A, which is the highest ranking districts in Connecticut. There's not one outside of Fairfield County, so we would be the only one in that consideration of districts. And we, punch at that weight class. When you look at our results, we are in the mix with any Dirk A on any measure for that. And so when you look at us within our category of Dirk B, we do very well in any measure that you can look at. So when you think of the value of living in Madison and being able to attend a Dirk A type district, that is unique for our students to have that experience, or for our families to have that experience. When we look at our results, we thought we had really ramped a high level for SAT a year ago, and we were able to improve on that. Our SBAC scores, you see the results of that, grades 3 through 8, number 4 in the state, and number 5 for ELA, and number 5 in the state for math. Polson had a clean sweep, throughout all of Dirk B, when NGSS is our science test. And so just incredible work from them to move from, an area that was not in the top 10, even within the Dirk, but they moved, to number 1 in the Dirk with their work on NGSS, and their math and language arts are equally incredibly strong on that. We are unapologetically a sports town, and so I do like to show that 6 CIAC championships. There are high schools in Connecticut that don't have 6 in their history. We achieved that in a year, and so it's really incredible work. SEC is a very competitive conference. We had 2 championships as well. I can go on with music and arts results as well, and our other awards and accolades our students receive in that area, but our time is limited tonight, so I will save that. And you'll see some areas that we're supporting the arts later on. I do like to point out that all this happened last year as we were doing a district reconfiguration. Talked a lot about every employee basically pre-K through 5 having to move. So you can think of the disruption going on in those classrooms that was minimized by teachers and administrators as they went through that. But teachers had to back up. Box up their materials and move, and the facility staff and the work that they did to make that go smoothly. It was just incredible. So I thank everybody involved in that process and the flexibility of our families and students as that was going on. Also, very importantly, our high school received accreditation without a major recommendation. That's very rare. I think we take some of those things for granted. So I like to point out that's a teacher-led process too. So that's not something that administration is just writing a report. They come in and interview teachers and have a lot of work into that. So just so much to be proud of as we go forward. I will get into what makes up these broad category numbers. These are the major 5 categories of our budget. You'll see a different number than you have seen in the past, but I think that we will show to you as we go through this process and over the next 2 meetings as we deal with budget why 4.24 is a strong value for Madison, why that we landed at that level, and the work that we've done to offset a potentially higher number and where that ranks. I shared last year we were one of the lowest comprehensive pre-K to 12 districts in a budget approved number. We'll show some data on that as we go forward as well. The big driver here is health insurance. It is no surprise to anyone. Our neighbors to the South Guilford presented theirs last night. They had a 25% increase in health insurance and 7.13% budget increase. So we are in that area in terms of health insurance, and we're not immune to changes in what's going on nationally and locally for health insurance for our employees. The annual budget, as I've shared, we've been very reasonable in terms of our requests. We have made reductions as we've gone along. As good news has come across our desk. We have worked hard, but we do no longer have decline in enrollment that allowed the district over some years to be below the cost of living or the general cost of a budget, but you will not see a reduction based on decline in enrollment in this budget, nor should you. We are working hard to achieve and respond to any student needs out there. The different categories you'll see, the CPI, that's really the cost of what we buy things, at, and that's an important figure because we have not kept up with the cost of inflation over the years with our budget increases. So again, it's that work to mitigate increases, to save money anywhere we can, and to work hard on to achieve those savings. I think it's important to point out the 2 different budgets. As I shared, 1.87% last year, one of the lowest in the state, while achieving the higher results in the state. So just incredible work. That's our current budget that we are in now. I just think it's important as well to point out that reflects the changes that we did as an organization, going from 6 buildings to 4. So bringing on 1 new building and closing 3 older buildings. That was reflected in this current budget. That's not something we're passing on to next year's budget, except for one exception there. So last year we got to a 1.87 because we had declining debt for the last time that Daniel Hand has paid off. So that's a big congratulations. We had a reduction of a half a year for the 3 buildings. So TCLC, Ryerson, and Jeffrey. We controlled those buildings until January 1, and then Pete took the keys from his right pocket and put them in his left pocket because he still owes it, but they came off the board's costs. And so We still supported those with custodians, but in terms of the energy cost and things like that, those are town buildings now. We had voted about a year ago to do that, a little bit over a year ago. There had been a lot of discussion. The town had wanted us to make that indication early on, so they knew that what was coming up. We had staffing reductions last year, and then we actually had a decrease in health insurance. So when you look at our health insurance over a 5 or 10 year period, it's really a success story. But on our 1 year blip, it's not quite so much. This year at a 4.24%, no debt savings, as I shared. Regular operating costs. We're in our second year of our biggest contract, our teachers contract, which was approved by the board in the town. We do have some staffing reductions, which I'll get into. But I think that there's rationale behind those, not related to enrollment, but really related to inability to fill some positions, and being smart about that and taking action on that. We have a significant increase in health insurance, about 21%. We still have the reduction of the half the year of the building. So last year's budget had half of the year for the 3 buildings, and now we're able to take that out going forward. And then we have an increase at Polson for utilities anticipated for 26-27, because when we bring on air conditioning, we'll have higher energy costs at Polson, but we have been waiting a long time for that. So have staff and students. So we're really excited about that. To be a district that has air conditioning and good HVAC systems in all 4 of our buildings. In terms of operating, contractual increases. So, again, we've seen increases in contracts. We have been, pretty close to the average of making up some ground where we needed to with the teacher's contract, but certainly within the ballpark of what is out there at the state level. We have some reduction in force in para positions that we have been unable to fill for multiple years. So these are positions that we have carried and tried our best and done everything we can to fill para positions, but we have been unable to do those. This does not impact, I know the board's question on this would be, does not impact pre-K to 3. So we're looking at higher grades than that to address that. We have been more successful in the pre-K to 3. This will help also solidify that program as well, because when we're posting lots of positions, people get more opportunity or choices to pick. The majority of these are at the high school and middle school level. And we knew when we went into the reorganization that we were going to need a year from then 2 more teachers for Neck River for grade 5, an additional teacher probably, we knew at that point probably at grades 1 or 2 based on enrollment for Neck River. We did not know the next 2 pieces, but were able to capitalize on that going into next year, with pre-K being recombined again, and it being at Brown School for next year. We are able to reduce 1 pre-K classroom, so we'll have 3 pre-K classrooms at Brown. We have 4 currently. Unknown to us, that's a number of student enrollment that does tend to fluctuate, because we're anticipating what that will look like a year from now. For these are 3 and 4 year olds, so some of them have not moved to town. Some of them are certainly not on our radar yet. Like we don't have no way of knowing how many 1 and 2 year olds there are in the town. We do child find to help identify special ed students, but we don't know all of those cases right now. And then due to enrollment shifts, we're able to reduce a Brown grade 2 teacher. So the net there is 1 new certified staff person, but a reduction of paraprofessionals. Health insurance, this is as I've shared, a 21.5% increase, highest I've seen in my career. Certainly, we are self-insured. This is based on experience. We have had experience in cost increases. So our health insurance consultants tell us that the cost increases alone, if we had the same experience, would be in the 8 to 9% range. So if everything was perfect, we'd still see an 8 to 9% increase we're seeing a 21.5% because of cost increases. As I've shared, Guilford's experience, this is no different than what we're seeing from other districts, other places out there, private industry as well. The good news on this account is twofold. One, that we have had great reserves over the years. Madison is a very well budgeted town. Very conservative in terms of meeting the requirements of what our consultants tell us to do. So we do have a reserve account in health insurance. We have higher than what is the recommended or required level, which is a good thing. We should have that because you don't know when years like this will hit. So working with the town, that our proposal is to use $800,000 of that. That is, supported by the first select woman and the Board of Finance chair. So we feel very confident that will happen. It will take a formal vote. It's not the first time we've done this. We did this years ago, and it won't be the last, I'm sure. But this is what it's there for, to offset insurance costs. So then everybody kind of benefits from that alike. And so I just want to point out that must still be approved. However, the town, as they're building their budget, they also are using a reserve fund. So I feel very confident that that's the right move and will get approved. So as I shared, health insurance is subjected to some pretty large swings. You'll see last time we were really close to this area was 16, 17. Then we've been really down below trend and what other districts have seen for quite some time. Last year, that basically a zero, but then pretty high up this year. So we're addressing that. For employee groups, I always like to share as well. Our employee groups have accepted changes to benefits. We've worked hard on that. They pay out the highest in the state. Our teachers and administrators and other groups pay among the highest in the state, and they're comparable. So they're certainly doing their share and feel the impact of this as well. This is just really unavoidable at this point. Success story that is an increase, but again, not seeing what other districts are seeing, and that's been a trend as well. Working to keep Madison students in Madison public schools, so limiting public and private outplacements that can be very expensive and not always the best scenario for the family or the student. So we have programming for our students to keep them in Madison as best we can, and then also Elizabeth Hagley and her staff work hard to find savings, work with other towns. We've had instances where we've sent students to another program close by at a public school versus a private placement that is supported by the family and our staff and has worked better than a private placement that might be far. But some of this is out of our control as well. We may have a family that moved into town that is already outplaced, and we need to accept that placement when the student families move in. Facility. So this is a somewhat of a challenge, but I think we've done a great job of narrowing this down as much as possible. So as I shared, the reduction at TCLC, Ryerson, and Jeffrey. So we'll achieve that. Utilities at Neck River are coming in a little bit lower than what was anticipated. Hard to anticipate a brand new building and how much that's going to cost. Electricity and gas are going up, so that we're seeing that increase out there for utilities across the board. And then for Polson in particular, we wanted to point out that with AC and new HVAC systems going in there, we're going to see an increase. So we'll have AC in the gym and auditorium for the first time, and so certainly needed and important to have, but we have to reflect the increased cost in that area. Transportation, a 4% contractual increase, which is great news. I know it's a dollar amount going up, but seeing bus contracts in pretty high numbers across the state. And so we're pleased to continue our solid relationship with our transportation provider. But that is a increase. We bought our right to read materials out of this current budget, so we will not need to do that next year. So that's a welcome savings there. And then athletic increases. Thrilled to share that we've had some teams return this year. Even with pretty steady enrollment at the high school, but teams like freshman girls basketball coming back after years of not having teams, and so other teams resourced and enrolled in, and so it's great to see some movement in that area. But also we need to appropriately budget for athletics, and probably my big highlight of the budget, because we've been dealing with some pretty heavy drivers, is Polson having a girls volleyball team for next year. So that is excited, needed, and something to keep our middle school athletes busy and engaged after school. So that's something we're excited about, and just could not defer another year. We talked about that for a little while, but we felt like we needed to move forward with that. When we had the time. Related to athletics, it was my intention was to have a reduction in pay to participate at the high school and middle school level. I just felt like when we were building this budget, it was looking like it would be a 6% budget. And so we did not feel we could move forward with that reduction at this time. Open to discussing that with the board. As we move forward, maybe there's potential savings or a different way to accomplish that. But that's something we deferred and would like to keep on the front burner, and if there's the opportunity for that. Music department requests we received in the neighborhood of $150,000. We would look to end of the year funding for that potential. Same with furniture requests. We had also some additional potential elementary teachers. We saw the enrollment projection in this look. It certainly projects like kindergarten is going to come down slightly at Neck River, but that's an area we're going to continue to watch. As we move forward for that, and other grade levels at Neck River, we'll continue to watch. Same for Brown. Kindergarten is sometimes hard. I will say this board has been very supportive. When we had some type of enrollment spike, whether it's in a grade level or at kindergarten at the entrance area, if we've been able to show savings, the board has allowed us to add, teacher in July or August. Ideally, we were adding now, but I always have appreciated that support when we needed to, if we saw a spike in enrollment in a certain area. So we'll continue to watch that as well. Kindergarten enrollment starts relatively soon, so that's exciting, because spring's coming. In terms of our total budget, just another way to look at this, see, personnel benefits, leading the way, as you would imagine. It's our biggest category. Health insurance, very close by, to that. That's with the reduction of the $800,000. If it wasn't, we'd be looking at about a 3% just from health insurance. So some pretty big challenges. As we sat and went through this budget, there was lots of discussions on things that we could do or would have liked to done. That deferred list is really just the top deferrals. There was a lot of other things that were brought forward and discussed. As I've shared too, board's been very supportive of, as we receive positive news throughout the year or at the end of the year, being able to use those funds towards needs of the district that weren't able to be funded. So as I close, just again, this is where we stand today. A little bit different than previous years. A lot of previous years, we have asked for the board to vote at the workshop, which is next Tuesday. We would ask that you wait until the last meeting in January. We have one last meeting with our insurance consultant that could impact these numbers prior to the end of January. We may be overly optimistic on that, but would love to be able to show some savings, even if it's minor, that would maybe move that number down a little bit, and not have any impact on staffing or programming. So that's what we are looking at. I will continue to provide you numbers as we know them from other districts. I shared Guilford is at a 7.13%. Our neighbors in Clinton are at 5.88 today. Cheshire's at 8.8%. East Lyme is at 6.79. So we are, with our use of insurance funding, we're at the lower end, and I suspect that we will be, but we recognize how supportive the town has been of us in the past, and supporting needs, and not only our operating budget, but also capital improvement plans. And then also we're very mindful that the town just approved the new elementary school that has been finalized and operating and will be finalized financially in the next coming year. So we're always very mindful of that. I thank the administrators of being very mindful, our teachers as well. So these requests and discussions really do start at the department level, at the teacher level, at the at the schools, and they have discussions of what they need. And our departments work really well. I always give the example of the science department at the high school might need something different this year, and the world language department might defer a need. And they really do work with the budgets as much as possible of what we provided them. So really great work on the part of staff and support. And really what it's about is the people, and the people are driving the budget, but it's the people that really make our district so successful, and so such a great place to be. So we're excited to continue this discussion. We will be ready for questions. Certainly any right now. Never shut down questions, but next Tuesday, our workshop is really when we answer a lot of questions, give the board some time to digest what we shared and think about things. You're always welcome and encouraged to email myself or Zoe or Gail if you have any questions. In the meantime, we'll do our best to compile those and answer it. Stacy is will be available for the workshop. She's the one that can get you the fine details of numbers that might be moving or changing that you'd have any questions on. And then our administrators are here. We'll be here next Tuesday as well to answer any questions programmatically or school related. So again, feel free anytime between that time. We'd love to get the questions in advance, but you're always welcome to. Next Tuesday night, something pops in your head, want to ask a question, feel free to do so. I hope you know that. And then even after that, we also do offer opportunity for the public to ask us questions. So there's ability through the website to ask questions, and we do get those, field those frequently. And then we'll do our discussions with PTOs and school communities as we go forward. We share this with our employees, get questions from them. So it's really an open dialogue and good process. So I will stop there and see if there's any more questions from the board that we can handle tonight.
I just have a comment. So I know in the past, sometimes we would just email questions to you, and I think we've got a couple of new board members. I think I found it to be helpful to send an email and send it to you in advance, so that, because I usually ask for very specific details that you wouldn't have just off the cuff. And so that way it gives you and Stacy, et cetera, time to prepare your answer, and then you have emailed it back to the entire board, and that way we don't make illegal meetings by emailing questions back and forth and responding, but we can send them to you, and then you correlate everything and send it out, and then we're all prepared with not asking a question that someone else has already asked and answered. We would have it in advance. It would answer some of our questions, and then we would bring forward more questions for the workshop.
Great.
Folks have questions? No?
Great, thank you. Thank you.
Take the room. Our next item on the agenda, board members' comments. Steph did want me to share a reminder of the upcoming Meade Area 8 legislative breakfast on the 27th at Neck River. A few of us have registered and we're hoping to have a great turnout as we're hosting it. So it starts at 9 a.m. on the 27th, and if you're interested in going, you can email us out and she'll register you. Those are the comments from Seth. Any other board members' comments?
I have. Yes, I would just like to say that I know that there was some community interest towards the end of break. By why there were certain vehicles at Neck River regarding an incident that happened there, and so I thought you might want to speak to it so that the public would know
Sure.
what happened,
Yeah,
and that
no.
everything is fine.
Thank you for asking that question. So we had a roof drain that was not properly built or attached, and so water had come through that roof drain and into two classrooms, mostly one that was impacted, but two classrooms were impacted. We immediately found out that morning. Pete Anderson contacted restoration company. Our team helped as well. And so when I went into the classrooms on Monday morning, I would not be able to tell. The two teachers would not have been able to tell. Of course, Becky Frost notified them as soon as we knew what the story would be and how things would play out. So if there is a silver lining, I always like to find one. They did check all the other roof drains. They all were properly attached, and everything is paid for through our warranty. And so no impact to students. Interesting enough, they put the carpets, which will be replaced, back in the wrong classrooms when they put the classrooms back together. That was the only thing. So if the teachers weren't notified, they would have figured something might happen because the carpets were in the opposite rooms. But we actually ended up replacing those as well because they were folded up and a little bit damaged. So yeah, it was not what we were looking to have happen, but in terms of timing, it was the best because it allowed us some time to really make it look like nothing happened by the time the students came back. So thank you for asking that.
And just to reiterate, it's all covered by warranty.
All covered by our 1-year warranty. I think I don't know that would have been a solar panel discussion, but you'll remember too, we had talked about potentially putting solar panels. Decided to hold through that 1-year warranty, so there would be no question of any roof issues or anything going on there. And so that removes probably a discussion point. I still think we would have found out it was a faulty drain, but that was also removed a potential issue. So but yeah, thank you, and thank you to the facility staff and Pete Anderson and their work and Gilbane for immediately acting on it.
Thank you.
So, any other board member comments? Okay, we have no public. All right, so we'll go on to our consent agenda, our budget expenditures as of December 31st, 2025, and our December 2025 personnel report. Those are in your packets. Action items. So we have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So
There's a second. Yeah.
I have a question.
Any discussion?
I'm just curious about line 53,000, the unbudgeted expense of 75,000 that was expended already, just exactly what that was and what it was spent on. I don't know if you have the information out.
probably do, but I will take a look at 53,000.
It was object 53,000, so
Yeah.
it's called unbudgeted expense. And it's budgeted for 75,000 and it has been spent.
That could be reading materials associated with the state mandate.
Yes, I will just confirm that for you, but that sounds like
Sounds like that.
the amount that was transferred within Gail's budget, but We got
Okay.
that for you.
And I'm just gonna point out to, in case the new members don't know, because it's going to come up in budget. Very first line item, AP testing, 15,000 has been budgeted, and so far nothing has been spent because it's not spent yet for this year. Because that always comes in the spring, it's for the AP, study prep, thank you, number, study prep that the teachers volunteer to do for our AP students. And this will be brought up again.
Maybe I'll choose.
That's the only thing I had said.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Okay, motion carries. Yeah. Our next item is board committee and liaison updates. First, we have curriculum and student development.
Okay, we met this evening, and we had three different areas of information shared. The first is the German exchange program, which is actually they're seeking board approval for this evening. Martin Glasser and Laura Scott came and presented about the German day exchange in Freiburg, Germany. They are leading or co-organizing the program, and it's been operating for several years, and so far has involved 120 families to date, which is really kind of cool. The trip logistics include 10 days and 10 nights with students staying with host families, weekday school attendance, and then 5-day excursions. They are scheduled to leave on June 25th and return on July 6th. Or is it 5th?
6, I think.
Is it the 6th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Costs and chaperone arrangements are estimated per student cost is about $2,200. That's including the nonstop airfare, the meals and luggage, and then the host family provides full board for one chaperone, while the other chaperone covers the which is 50% of the accommodations and personal food for themselves. And both Laura and Martin will be attending, going on that trip. Typical group size is about 14 to 20 students. The inbound group had about 20 girls in October, which were housed here in Madison by 19 families. And they said it was a very successful time here, and students are lovely and the families are lovely as well. In terms of safety and operations, one of the questions was asked about what happens if one of our students doesn't feel safe. And there are, the organizers carry school cell phones and maintain direct parent contact at all times. German teachers assist on the other end. Students may be relocated if housing is unsuitable, but all of it is kept up with the 2 chaperones that are there in country and also through contact through the school cell phones. So they're hoping for board approval this evening. The second presentation was on school links. There was a rollout. This is the second year after a 1-year pilot. School links will be replacing Naviance, which anybody who has a student who graduated anytime before last year knows all about Naviance and its hiccups and difficulties for all involved. And so, of course, we're always looking to improve our student experience and our parents' experience. So School Links was adopted, and after a 1-year pilot last year. It is the main guidance and counseling tool that's used throughout our middle and high school. School Links is used at all high school and middle school students for career exploration, college applications, and counselor-led classroom lessons. Students will be also uploading. They can upload artifacts to build their portfolio in School Links that will follow them through the 12th grade. So it's nice that they get started on it early on. The presenters shared that the platform is made to really feel more like social media, so the kids are really interested in interfacing with this platform, so it really is more user friendly and they'll want to engage with it. High schools, the high school pilot targets 3 graduation required courses: personal finance, civics, independent study, and exposes students to 7 to 10 of the capacities with uploads and reflections of track growth, and they'll track growth over 4 years. It's more user friendly than Naviance, and it's a social media like interface with Google sign-in, single sign-on. So it's accessible, and it used to take the students a lot longer just to log on to Naviance. They spend a large portion of their classroom time just doing that, and now it's a Google sign-on, which is great. And it increases teacher and student engagement and prompted other schools actually to arrange a shadow visit here in Madison, as we are leading the way as one of the only districts using this platform. Always ahead of the curve. The next presentation was adjacent to what I just talked about with school links. It is the Mastery Transcript and AI
Mastery Transcript
Consortium. And so the students or the teachers, the district piloted the Master Transcript Consortium with volunteer juniors to develop a parallel transcript. Will be. The Master Transcript records credentials across 5 capacities via student submitted evidence and review. School length portion requires at least 6 artifacts from grades 6 through 12. The transcript remains accessible for 5 years after they graduate, so that the students can use it beyond their years here, but also beyond their school years in college. So it's something that they can utilize even going into their careers. And it is used by over 700 colleges. But again, we're ahead of the curve in even
We're
drafting.
drafting.
We're drafting. Yes. So it's in the very early stages of using it. Advisors will deliver AI literacy prioritized for more of an SEL focus. So they'll be sort of coaching kids in using the AI platform, but it'll be more interfacing with their teachers.
More about educating them about different risks associated with AI.
Right.
In an advisory lesson form. As a priority this year at Polson and some high school classes as well.
Yeah. So it's in its infancy. We'll definitely be hearing more about it. And that was it for our presentations, and we just need that one board approval later on.
Yes.
I have a question. It's really a speculation on my part, but with the new system, links system, the ability to upload artifacts, would that enable schools, colleges to use AI or machine learning to actively profile or recruit students? So in other words, if you're an art student, you can upload your things, would a college be able to say, okay, this person has demonstrated its interest in doing it at scale, right?
Yeah, I don't believe school links would be accessible to colleges.
Okay.
That's not the product that would be. However, the pilot that we're developing with the other product, the Mastery-based consortium product, had to go through Aaron Bliss's office first to make sure that it was a high level of security for student data. And the criteria wasn't there right now, but they have been enthusiastic in putting in the criteria that we demand before we would activate that product. So it would meet all of those criteria. As Aaron said, it was the first time in his career he's seen that happen with a product, but that certainly is one of our concerns. Yeah.
I mean, I think there will be pressure from colleges to be able to go out there and
Just pull it up.
pull it up.
Yeah.
Right?
So I'll take that.
That's why we're looking at a safe curation and something that students can be able to show. I agree with you.
But he would have to show it, not that they could go in and find
The
it.
students have a particular code that they have a sheet and they would submit it in their Common App with a parallel traditional transcript. And that access would be theirs to give, but it's also very protected. It's a very safe code, but thank you for asking that. Erin would be happy to hear that.
Any other questions for curriculum and student development?
I would just want to emphasize, I think that this parallel transcript is really a cool cutting edge addition to our regular transcript that I think could really make our students stand out in the college admission process. I think it's very cool and very cutting edge.
Thanks for.
And if they have it 5 years after school, I mean, to be able to access
It
it.
has a lot of potential. We're really excited.
And gets to these softer skills, which are not captured in a traditional transcript, but incredibly meaningful. So I think that's great.
Great. Anything else? All right.
We adjourned at 5:44.
Okay.
Thank you.
Facilities committee is next. We have not met since our last board meeting. I do not have any report to share. Finance committee.
We also have not met, no report.
Personnel committee.
Ditto.
Ditto. Okay.
We have not met on report.
Oh, I'm sure Diane has something to report for policy.
I do. We did meet. We met on December 16th. And it's actually a 3-part report. So the first is about the meeting on December 16th. We discussed several policies for rescind and replace, most of which are changes made in order to be in compliance with state statute. And so those policies will come forward to the board. They are actually on tonight's agenda as action items to request that we waive the second read. And have them as action items this evening, because the changes are either so minor, they change a definition, it's things that are required by state statute and very little changes. And then we also discussed a policy that we are still working on, having to do with library collection and development. We were discussing policy 6144.2, which is the reevaluation of challenged instructional materials and library media center resources. We proposed some wording changes and some questions that we had that we were going to refer to the superintendent and to our legal counsel. And so we will bring it back to the policy committee meeting to discuss again before it comes forward to the board. And so then in your packet this evening, you will find a policy for review. It's a second read, so it's an action item. That's 5110.4 student discipline. We have seen this policy again and again and again because they like to change small things in it on a yearly basis, and so we get to vote on it many times. We also have policies for review with waiving the second reading, which is what I just alluded to. 4119, reports of suspected abuse or neglect of children or reports of sexual assault of students by school employees. Policy 5180.1, confidentiality and access to education records. Policy 6130.2.2, curricular exemptions. And policy 6050, parental access to instructional material. You will find in your packet notes from Shipman and Goodwin regarding all of these policies. If anyone has any questions regarding them, those are action items for this evening. And the last thing is my usual wrap up of the 2025 policy year. So we have done so much work over the past 3 years, Zoe and I and the policy committee, that we don't have lots left to do, except for when we start the review process all over again from the top. So we actually rescinded 10 policies because we've done the bulk of the rescissions in the previous 2 years. And we reviewed and rescinded and revised 35 policies. So we did a total of 45 policies, some of which were new, some were rescinded and replaced, some were rescinded. That was our year in review. And
No,
they're over there.
I should have known.
Well, it was very crowded when I first came in, and so I
Yes.
just think it's really appropriate. Like, do I have enough? Because there's only 45.
Before you know, we're gonna be splitting a loot chocolate.
Starting off in the hundreds.
Yeah, it started off over
We'll snap
100.
a twig or a Kit Kat. Yeah.
But I mean, it really started because Wendy was leaving and we had done so much work together that year. It was well over 100 policies. And so that's how it started. And the next year, Zoe and I did over 100 policies, and then we just been
So
going.
this was a lean year.
Yeah.
But it was no,
It's
it's
still-
less
Yeah.
work.
Yes, I
No.
know.
In fact, I think it's more work because it's easier to just rescind policies that are no
Yeah.
longer appropriate, so, you know, out of date. And now,
Really cleaning it up.
it's everything is just reviewing, revising, readopting. So anyway, I did find a few that we need to work on though.
So you can't keep the whole bag and stuff.
Well, we're very lucky and happy
Happy
with
to share, thanks you very
Yeah.
much.
So thank you to Zoe and the policy committee. And that's the end of my
Thank
report.
you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for policy committee?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Next chair,
Hard
Zoe,
work.
for your work.
All right, next we have learn liaison, Galen.
No report, the next meeting is early, then I'll be there.
All right, we're on to our action items. We have action item 9. Do I have a motion to approve policy number 5110.4 student discipline?
So moved.
Dan, second by Kathy. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Thank you. Action item 10, I would like a motion to waive the second reading and approve the following policies. 4119, reports of suspected abuse or neglect of children or reports of sexual assault of students by school employees. Policy 5180.1, confidentiality and access to education records. Policy 6130.2.2, curricular exemptions. And policy 6050, parental access to instructional material.
So moved.
Leanne?
Second.
I'll give that one to you, Maureen. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Okay, action item 11. I would like a motion to approve a donation from Steady Photography to Neck River Elementary School in the amount of $3,208.50 for staff development. Diane? Second. Yes. Any discussion?
So this is just a. Donate like.
Yeah, they're very generous. They do the school photographs and then they give money back for those students to do things. They do a really nice job, throughout the district.
Questions or discussion?
Thank you.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Action item 12, I'd like a motion to approve a donation from Steady Photography to Polson Middle School in the amount of $2,316.10 to support student activities.
So moved.
Diane? Second. Second, Maureen. Any discussion?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ben?
To Steady.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Action item 13, I would like a motion to approve a donation from the Madison Foundation to Daniel Hand High School in the amount of $10,000 for the spring 2026 International Bermuda trip.
So moved.
Diane?
Second.
Lisa? Any discussion?
So that our Madison Foundation.
It's giving funds to offset the cost of the trip for students.
That's
Yeah.
very generous.
Really generous.
So just out of curiosity, if something happens to this Bermuda trip, like, I don't know, hurricane, something, and they decide not to go there, will the money follow them or will they take the money back? How's that work?
I think it would depend if they find another location to go to or something like that, which is often what they'll do. You know, they would, I would imagine they would continue on. If the trip never happened, I think students would get refunded and Madison Foundation would get refunded is how I would see it happening. Yeah.
Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Action item 14, I would like a motion to approve the minutes of the December 9th, 2025 Board of Education meeting. That's. See any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Any future agenda items?
No, but are we gonna insert a motion for the approval?
Oh, yes, we need to assert.
That-
No, we don't, you can wait till the 27th.
We can?
Yes.
Okay,
They're not from
Yeah.
okay.
We don't typically go back to
Germany.
Yeah, just in case you have more questions or something. Yeah.
What's this name?
The curriculum committee received a presentation on the Germany exchange trip.
Oh,
Yeah.
And so that is such a different trip than the other ones. They're not under that time frame, but it was so said that we can wait till the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Any future agenda items? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And for Lisa? Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Same. Right, we're adjourned at 7 o'clock.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's